So welcome back to my YouTube videos and to my tutorial videos in general. I'm going to be going to the next part of our tutorial, which is going to be placing the furniture and finishing off the interiors of my building before we actually have to put it in our sheets and publish them, so that we can be able to be it can be able to be seen by our clients and maybe the contractors when they are building. So the first thing we're going to be doing in this video is going to be arranging the furniture in our building, and then we're going to be finishing off with the interiors and generating the views, which are the elevations and then the sections, and then we're going to finish off with placing them on the layouts. So with that done, we are going to first start with the ground floor and arrange the furniture where we want them. So to know how the furniture is supposed to be arranged, we're going to take head of what is in the reference file here, and you can actually see the arrangement of the furniture of each room, and we're just going to copy it and implement it on our plan. So the first thing we're going to do is going to do the living room, which we're going to start maybe with the couches. So we're going to start with the couch. Let's make sure we search for couch here. Then we're going to look for the couch that fits our needs. So for me, I'm going to see this white one here as a more better option, so I'm going to place it there. Yeah, with that placed there, I can now rotate it so it can actually face the wall the way I want it. So with that done, I'm going to face it this other side. Then I'm going to control D it so that it can able to reach this wall area here. So with that done, now we have a couch where someone can sit and directly facing where the TV is going to be. So the next thing we're going to do, we are going to take the smaller couch, which is the sofa couch, the sofa chair. So we're going to go to the chair, and then we're going to pick the sofa chair. So that's selected. We're going to press OK. Then we're going to drop it on our plan. So then we're going to have to drag it to where we want it to be, somewhere there. So with that selected, the next thing is going to be our coffee table. Yeah, so we're just going to search table, and then we're going to drop it on where we want it. So I actually had sites on one of these tables here. Yeah, let's see which one is going to be more good for us. Yeah, let's say this one. Then I'm going to press OK and then drop it on my plan. To make sure it's on the right side, I'm just going to control E it, and it's going to face where I want it to face. So with that done, now we have our table finished and our living room almost done. So the next thing we're going to have a TV stand, which is where the TV is going to be placed. So the TV stand, yeah, this is where it is. Then I'm going to pick this one because this one looks more modern and more realistic, so we're going to use it and we're going to place it there. So that's done. You're going to control it, and then make sure when you're selecting your axis, it's a straight line and it has followed a straight line. So and then you're going to control it to where we want it to be, so somewhere there. So with that said, we're just going to have to place our TV on this wall, hypothetically, because there's no mounted TV on our ARCHICAD library. So I'm just going to pick one of the TVs there, which I think is this one, this flat panel here, and then I'm going to place it where the TV stand is, and making sure its distance from the ground is a bit higher. So you can see this bottom and top here, this bottom distance should be a bit higher for the TV. So I'm going to make it like 900 or maybe a meter, so that it has the illusion that it has been mounted on the wall. So with that said, I'm going to control E, and then I'm going to put it directly on the wall here. Make sure it's not in the plaster, just make it somewhere on the wall. So drag it there. Yeah, so it has the illusion of it being mounted on the wall. So Yeah, so make sure this all the furniture touches the ground, which I've just noticed we don't look at it. So let's just see how it is going. Because you can see most of this furniture is floating, and that's not how they're supposed to be. So I'm just going to the ground floor, and I'm going to select the furniture except for the TV and make sure they touch the ground. You see this distance here, the one from the ground to where the furniture is starting, it's supposed to be 0. It's supposed to be actually on the floor, like it is realistically. So that said, you can see everything has touched the ground. Yeah, and maybe we influence. Yeah, the TV, you can see it's up. Yeah, and it's mounted on the wall. So our living room is actually complete. So the next thing you're going to be doing is you're going to be looking at the small dining room, the small dining table over here. So just going to actually have to search dining and make sure the table is this small, not this big, like the way it is here. So just go and select the dining set, the whole set of it, and then we're just going to reduce its how big it is. So let's just make sure, yeah, this is what we want. And then we're just going to have to reduce so that it can maybe just be 4 people, not this big, because this is too big for our place. Yeah, so something like this, so 4 people only. And then I'm going to press OK and drop it on my plan. So let's see how it's going to be. Make sure it's just there. Yeah, actually it's going to be too big, so I don't know. And we can manually make our own dining table. So I'm going to backspace that. Then I'm going to look for a table and manually make my dining table. So let's look for a table that is more or less close to a dining table here. So the one that we want here, maybe not a desk, we're just going to look for a table. Yeah, sorry for that, let me just look for one. Yeah, maybe this one. See, this is already a dining table. Then I'm going to place it there and then arrange the seats on it. So that place, I'm going to drag it somewhere there so that it can be where the window is exactly. And then I'm going to look for chairs, the small type of chairs that I use for dining. Say chairs. Yeah, for a chair, I'm going to select one of them that is suitable for my dining set. Maybe you can say, let's just take one of these basic chairs like this one. Yeah, and then we place them and arrange them on our dining set. So just press this one and then Control E so it can be actually facing inside the table. Yeah, so make sure it's a bit back. Yeah, and then Control Shift D to drag a copy there, and then you can actually click to both of them and then Control Shift mirror and then mirror them at the middle of the table here. So now we have our two chairs made. So with that done, I want to actually just make my wall hole to the kitchen a bit larger to allow for more space. Yeah, so with that done, now we have our living room and we have our dining room. So remember to make each and every one of them at 0. This distance to the ground should be 0 for these interior furniture. Yeah, so the 3D, you can see everything is taking shape, and then we have our small dining set there. So the next thing we are going to do, we are going to actually have to deal with the bedroom and then the bathroom. Make sure this window sill is 0 too for this wall hole, so that it can actually be from to the ground. There's no sill here. Yeah, so let's go to the ground floor and then arrange the bedroom. So for the bedroom, you can see it's actually a small bedroom, so consisting of a small bed, a desk and a chair and a wardrobe. So the first thing we're going to look for is the bed, which is going to be a small bed. So just search for bed on your tab there and then select the type of bed that you want. For example, this one is actually the right size for what you are looking for, and place it on your bedroom there where it's supposed to be. Just drag it to where you want it to be. Make sure it is on the walls there. So our bed is placed, and then the next thing is going to be our desk and the chair. So go to the objects tool there, and then you search for a desk, and then select the one that we want. So this is the desk that we are going to getting. Then we're going to have to place it on our space there. So drag it to the space and make sure it fits the space. If it is not, the space is too small, you actually have to tamper and play around with the width of the desk, which is going to be like a meter. So the length, I mean. So you just have to drag it down back to somewhere there and make sure it's at 0. Yeah, so make sure it's at 0. And then the next thing is the chair. We are going to just look for the chair, the ones that we want for our small study area there. So the chair that you can use for a small study area, maybe you can just say, let me just look for if there's a better option. Yeah, I'm seeing there are different types of chairs. Yeah, but I think the best option for our study area is going to be there are different options here. So let me just select this one because it looks more, it has a resting area for your arms. So I'm going to select the chair, and then you're going to control it so that it faces the desk, and then drag it to the edge there. So the next thing is the wardrobe, which we actually just going to have to search wardrobe manually and select it. So for wardrobe, let's search wardrobe, and you can see different options appearing. So I'm going to use this one that has many compartments for storage. So I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to tamper around with the settings. So for me, I like the wardrobe to be a bit 450 millimeters wide, and yeah, with that we're just going to see how it's going to be. So we're going to drop it onto our plan, and then you're going to zoom into, let me do it again. Then I'm going to control E on this vertical axis and then turn it down here. So that down, I'm going to control it back to our spot there, and we can actually stretch it if you want to. Yeah, you can stretch it for the amount of distance you want it to be. So for example, if I want it to go up to there, I just stretch it to that point, and then I click. So that's what we have for our bedroom. Then the next thing is going to be our bathroom, which is mostly consisting of the toilet and the basin. So to find this, you just go to the objects again, then you search for the toilet. So let's just search again for the toilet. Yes, so there are different types of toilets in this ARCHICAD. Let me just write them in full to make sure it come all of them. Yeah, so this type that is usually the most common one, the YC, and this is how it looks like. So then you can now press OK and place it the way it is in the floor plan. So I'm just going to place it. I'm going to click there, and then I'm going to control E. Most of it is going to be true. Most of the things we're going to do in this arrangement is just rotating and dragging them to where we want them. So that's the first thing. And then the next thing is going to be the basin. So the basin is where we're going to wash our hands. So let's just search for it, and then let's look for it, and then we make sure it's a bit realistic because it's just too big. It can't be 600. Let me make it 400 for the width, and then 300 for the depth. So that's how it's going to be, and then you're going to press OK. And for this one, let's just make sure it's not at 0. Yeah, it's going to be at 860. Yeah, so you're going to place it there. Yeah, for and then you're going to Control E, then make sure it touches the wall where the plumbing is going to happen. So this is the toilet, I think it's complete. So the next thing is going to be the kitchen, and for the kitchen I think we should first finish up with the other accessories, the normal furniture for the other rooms before we go to the kitchen, because the kitchen requires some more tasks. So let's go to story 1 and let's arrange the furniture like we have just done for the ground floor. So the first thing you're going to do is going to select the basin for the bathroom of the upper floor, which is going to be this one, because you can see this one is more box like in the floor plan. So we're going to use this one with the cabinet. So with that said, let's make sure it follows the way we want it. So let's just go and drop it to the where it's supposed to be and drag it there. So let's take it and drag it to that point. Yeah, so with that done, now we have our we have our basin complete there. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to then put the toilet again, which is going to be somewhere here. Let's search for it again, toilet, and then we're going to take the default one and drop it there where we're supposed to have our toilet. So let's drag it back a bit here somewhere, allowing for space for plumbing. Yeah, then the next thing we're going to do is take the shower. It's going to be a shower cage here, or shower cabin. So I'm going to look for it. Let's search for shower, and then you can see what comes up. So shower, make sure I've searched well. Shower, yeah, so you can see the shower cabin coming here. So you press it and then we can place it the way we want, because this is a big bathroom. Let me just make it a bit bigger, like 900 and by 900, and then we have a bigger shower. So we're going to place it there on our room and Control D. So the shower is actually touching somewhere near the wall here. So Control E, and then you rotate, you Control Z again. Make sure the axis is straight. So Control E, make sure it's straight before you rotate it. Yeah, so that done. Now we have our shower and our bathroom complete. So the next thing we're going to do, we are going to go to our bedroom, and then we make the necessary arrangements for the bedroom. The bedroom is going to consist of a bed. Let's look for a master bed. Yeah, so it's going to be a bed, and then a big one. No, it's not going to be a small one like this. A big double bed for the master, and then you're going to drop it there. So with that done, you can Control D it to the center. First escape, Control D to the center, then Control E it to the walls there. So with that done, we Control D it again to that point. Now we have our bedroom, our bed for our master. So yes, so the next thing we're going to do, we are going to put the wardrobes, which are actually one here, and then this one for the storage. I think this one is a walk-in wardrobe again. So just going to have to search for the wardrobe. Then we are going to drag it up to where we want to. So I'm going to drop my first wardrobe there, and I'm just going to make sure it fits into the space that I have. So I'm going to actually have to drag it to the edge first, and then make sure it's not in the wall. Yeah, somewhere there. And then I'm going to select the node and stretch it with the last option up to cover the whole surface. Yeah, because most probably that's how it's going to be. And with that done, I want to drag the same instance to this place here. So I'm going to Control Shift D to drag a copy to there. So then with that done, I'm going to mirror this copy on the other side. So Control Shift M, and then I'm going to mirror it on the center of this wall here. So Yeah, now we have done our wardrobe, and the next thing I think what's remaining for yeah, most of the design changes we made will not allow for me to have some furniture on this area here. So with that said, now we have our complete bedroom, and I think it's supposed to have a TV or something like that there, but yeah, we made some design changes because of this staircase here, and now we have to actually make do with that. So we have finished arranging our furniture, and now we can move on to some other things, like we can now move to the kitchen. Actually, I almost forgot. Yeah, you can see my house is taking shape and everything is almost okay. Yeah, so it's a small place, a small house. Now we're going to do the kitchen. Let's just go to the ground floor, and then we are first going to have to make the worktop for the kitchen and place the sink and a cooker. That's the only details we're going to do for the kitchen now. As of now, for a more detailed kitchen, we're going to do it in the next course, which is going to be the advanced BIM, which is going to mostly focus on actually building it and communicating to the contractor. So for now, it's just going to be mostly design, and we're going to make the worktop and place the furniture for the kitchen. So to make the worktop, we have to use the slab tool. Yeah, because the worktop is usually a slab, but we're just going to have to change its material to concrete, and then we are going to change its thickness by the settings here. Settings are supposed to be like 100 millimeters thick, and then from the 0 it's supposed to be 900 from the ground, so it's going to be okay. Then we're going to draw it with the second option here. So we're going to first take an area here, then highlight it. I want it to be a bit, that's the actual length, and then I want it to be like 600 millimeters wide. Then I'm going to enter. Yeah, with that said, I'm going to actually have to put another worktop here. It's a smaller one. Yeah, so this one is I'm going to make it like 400 wide. So with that done, now we have our slab, the first here, and then there's another one here. So to make the sink, we're going to go to the objects again. Then we're going to search for sink now. Yeah, remember there's a difference between a sink and a basin. So this one is a sink because it's a kitchen sink. So we're going to choose the one that fits our design needs. So we're going to look for the kitchen sink. Yes, let's just look. Let's see this one. Since I downloaded, I think this is a one for the default. Let's just drag it up there. Yes, this one is what I was saying. Yeah, so with that said, I'm going to place my sink there and drag it to fit in the right area there. Let's make sure it fits there. Yeah, yes, exactly. So now with our sink done, we can make sure it goes back a bit, but not too much. Yeah, so with that done, now you can go back to 3D and confirm what we are actually doing, if it's making sense. You can see this is the kitchen worktop, and that's how the sink looks like there. So we're going to actually have to separate my slab from my sink so that you can be able to see it. Yeah, so as I was saying, we're going to now separate my slab from my sink, and we can do that from the ground floor. So we're going to first have to draw the outline of what we're going to separate. So we're going to actually have to draw a line. Using the line tool, we're going to draw a line that is covering the whole sink area here first, and then I'm going to highlight my line, group them first, and then I ungroup again so that I can manipulate them. Click on the nodes, then I'm going to fillet my corners so that it can be the same as the one for the sink. I'm going to fillet at 60 and apply to all corners. You can see, yeah, now we have done that. So that done, you can now select the worktop, select the node, and then select minus, then hover on where the sink is and minus it. Yeah, from the 3D you can see that happens. Now you can have your sink and your worktop separate. Now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to make sure this sink worktop is covered with tile. So we're going to select both of them. Then we're going to go to this surface area here, surface, and then we're going to activate the first option, the top option, and the thickness option. So with that, we're going to now search for the tiles that we want, and we're going to make them the white tiles, and I'm going to highlight in every area. So make sure the bottom part is not highlighted because you cannot fix tiles on the bottom part. So that said, you can see it's what happens. And then we have our slab. Yes, so now the next thing I just put in the cooker, and then you're finished our kitchen. So just going to the design tab again, objects, then I'm going to search for my cooker. So just have to search my cooker, make sure it comes. It may take some time. Yes, so let's just search cook, because if you become specific, it might not come. So let's just see, and then see, these are the types of cookers that we have. So I'm going to select this one because this one actually is the most realistic of them. Yeah, this is how it looks like. So I'm going to place it on this edge here. So I know it's a small kitchen, but it actually has to work. So Control E, and then I'm going to rotate it to make sure it looks at the way it's supposed to look on the edge there. So look at the 3D. You can see how it looks like. Yes, so make sure everything is okay. Yeah, and that's how the kitchen is supposed to be. So for the other things for the kitchen, about the cabinets and the the base cabinets and the overhead cabinets, I'm going to look deeper into them in my next design course, which is going to be looking at mostly taking information from your design and communicating it to the different trades that I'm going to make it happen. So with that said, let's just paint our interior walls, and then we're finished up the building. We're going to generate our views and then put it in our master. So to paint the wall, I want my walls maybe to be a bit lighter, maybe like cream, and something like cream or white. So let me just look for, let's go to the surfaces, options, windows, no, options, and then element attributes, surfaces. And then I'm going to look for the surface that I want to make. Yeah, so this cadmium oil, I'm going to actually have to manipulate this one. This is a default one. I'm just going to create a new one out of this one, and then let's paint interior like we did before video. Yeah, so and then I'm going to press OK. Yeah, with that selected, I'm just going to have to play around with the surface color to make it a bit lighter, maybe there. So I'm gonna press OK, and then everything else constant. Let me just make sure everything is a bit realistic there. Yeah, so I'm gonna press OK. So that is the paint interior. I've saved it like that, so I'm gonna press OK, and then I'm going to my surface painter, which is in the Windows palette. So and then palette, and then surface painter, and then I'm going to look for my actual paint interior that I want. Interior. Yes, so with that done, I'm just going to paint the wall surface that is supposed to be painted. Yes, so just remember, you're just painting, and make sure it only selects the wall surface that you want to be painted only. Yeah, not the whole wall. So I'm going to go back inside and rotate it, rotate everything. Yes, and then I'm going to paint the walls, then paint just that surface. Yeah, this I'm going to go back. Just go, or you can actually manually just change the settings of the wall. So what I'm just want to show you how you can paint them like that. Yeah, so and then we go to another wall. Yeah, the kitchen wall, then I'm going to paint it. Yes, now our living room looks, our interior looks more brighter and more livelier. So I'm going to make sure this one too is painted, the interior wall there. And I'll just enter and paint it on there exactly. So with that done, now you can see my interior is taking shape, and I like the way it's going. So I'm going to paint this area too. Just want to paint this surface here, paint it, and then this wall too, I'm going to paint it, this one. And for this one, I was saying you can manually change the color of the wall by just selecting the wall, then going to the surface, and then you can see this place where the brick is this point here. So I just activate it and then select the paint that I've just created, paint interior. I think it's supposed to be there, paint interior, yeah, and make sure it goes like that. So you can see it changes it now. You can escape now. You can see all my walls are painted. Let me just make sure. Yeah, now there's these walls here. I'm gonna paint this one here. Then I'm gonna paint this area here. Yeah, that's how the walls are painted. Let's go to the next story and make sure all the walls are painted. Let me just actually go to the story one, and I'm going to select the interior walls, all of them, and paint them. The surfaces, so I'm just going to shift, select the interior walls, and then first I'm going to change the surface finish for each of them. For the interior surface finish and the cut surface finish, so it's going to be paint interior, it's just the shortcut of doing it without using the brush. So I want to make them the same, but this one is not activated, so it's not going to show. So that done, I'm actually have to select these other ones too, because they are going to be visible in the interior of our story one. Then with these ones, these exterior walls, I'm just going to paint the interior of them, so the inside face of them. So I'm going to come here, then I'm going to activate the inside face only, and then I'm going to select the paint interior that I made. Yes, so that done, can do now, click off, and then you can see everything will change. Yeah, so make sure also this wall here I paint the interior too. So paint interior. Yeah, so with that done, now we have actually seen, you can actually see our walls are painted for the upper floors too. Yes, now building looks more cozy and someone can actually move into it. So let's just make sure this other wall too is painted. Select this one, I think this one too. Yeah, so I'm going to make sure both areas of them are painted. Yeah, so now we've done our painting, and let's just make sure our ceiling for this area here, the below story, is also a color that we want, because it's still green and it's not actually making sense. So let's go back down, and then let me show you. Escape, let me just show you. You can see it's still green, and that's not what we want. So we're just going to select it, the slab, and then we're going to the below area and activate it to make it white, because that's what I want to finish with my ceiling. I'll finish with stucco white. So that's how it's going to look, and you can see my interior also looks good and more home friendly, yeah, and warm. So yeah, with the interior done, now we can make the actual ceiling for my upper floor, and then we finish putting the truss of the roof, and we are done with the whole building. So to make the truss of to make the ceiling of the upper floor or the ceiling of the roof, we can actually use two methods. We can actually use the room accessories, or we can actually make it using a slab. So, but I think the most best way to make it is going to be using the slab, because for the ceiling accessories, we're not going to actually make the ceiling. We're going to just make a zone. I don't know if I know it's going to be hard to understand now, but let's just make it with the slab so that it can be simple enough. So I'm going to select my slab tool. First I'm going to go to story 1, select my slab, make it the thickness of a ceiling board, which is going to be like a bit thinner, like 20 millimeters, and it's going to be made of, say, fiberboard. So fiberboard, fiberboard. So, and then the finish of the ceiling, I want it to only finish downwards, and I want it to be finishing stucco white rough like the one for the ground floor. So I'm gonna press OK. And then I'm going to draw my ceiling on these points, these edges of this wall. Then you're gonna use the first option of independent nodes. And then before we continue, I'm just going to make the height of the slab to be a 3000, so that it can be on the top of the room. So I'm going to draw the ceiling on these edges of the wall here, not these edges, the inside edges of the wall. So that done, I'm going to draw them up to down here. Yeah, so that's how actually you do your ceiling. You can draw them here too. Yes, and make sure the inside of the wall, and then crosses there up to the so you can see for a 3D we'll have our ceiling created. Let me just zoom inside. You can see, so you can see it. Yeah, so you can see now our room upper floor has a ceiling created. Yes, yeah, so that's the most easiest way of putting a ceiling in the upper floor. So the next thing you're going to do is just make the roof truss and finish off our building. So to make a roof truss, I'm just going to story 1, and I want to cut a section through my whole model so that I can able to access the roof point here. So I'm just going to go to viewpoint and then cut a section on my model here. So first of all, let me just cut a section so that you can see it. So I'm just gonna look at this side here, and then I'm going to open the section, open this section. Yeah, so for the section it's already cut. Yeah, so this is how our section looks like, section through our building. And it's actually, I actually cut the staircase, that's why it's floating here. So you can see how things are happening that are not supposed to happen. Like this bed, actually it's a bit too high, so I'm gonna just fix that, because that's how you know if something is okay. Yeah, let's cut the section. Now you can see my building and how it looks like. You see, it's actually just cool. So the next, to make a truss, we have to actually draw our truss first. We have to draw it with our line tool and see how it's going to look like. So to do that you're going to go to the documents and then line tool, and then I'm going to draw first. The first thing I want for my truss is going to be the king post, which I'm going to draw it first down. It's the first post for our truss, the king post, and then the joist post, and then you're going to just draw it there. Yeah, those are the main components of the truss. Then the next option is going to be the struts. So I'm going to make the strut. It's going to make it manually, something like that, and then this one, and this one done once there. So this is the truss for the roof, truss outline, and this is how it's actually going to look like. How it's going to be fixed. The rafters are going to be fixed on this point here, and then this point here. The rafters are going to be fixed on those points, and then the purlins are going to be fixed on the rafters. So this is just the strut, this is the truss, and we're going to make it using the design extras. Let's go to the design here, and then design extras, and then truss maker. Then we're going to, first of all, let's just click all the lines that I've just drawn. Shift click this one. No, the line, only the lines. Yeah, so just click to we go to the design, and then we go to design extras, then truss maker, then we click create truss. After clicking creating truss, this pop-up menu will appear, and then we're just going to press OK after selecting the timber option, and then we just press OK, and then we save it. Yeah, so it will save it and say the new truss maker object has been created on the floor plan. So to access our truss, we just go into the floor plan and see where it is. So go to the story 1, and we can actually look for where our truss is. Let's just go to the 3D. We'll actually see it where it is. Yeah, it creates it somewhere far, a bit far from our view. So what to do? I'm just going to drag it to where it is and then put it on the section exactly where it is. So to drag it somewhere there, actually somewhere, maybe let's put it on top, and then you can see it from the section and place it on where it's supposed to be. Let me make sure it is here. So this is the truss we made, and then I'm going to drag it and put it where it's supposed to actually be. Yes, so that done, we are going to just drag it upwards a bit. Yes, so here is our truss that you have made. I know it's a bit, yeah, that's how it's going to look like. Let me make my ceiling a bit lower so that it cannot conflict with the truss. Yes, so with that done, now we can now remove the line tools, Control A, and you're going to remove them, the outlines. And then you're going to drag this truss across the gable and do it for the whole thing. So let's go to the story 1, and don't know where the object is. I think it has made itself somewhere here. Let's just go to story 2 first, see if it is there. Let's select this and see. First of all, let me just go to the section, select it, and then make it the home story to be story 1, and then we now drag it downwards to be at where we want it to be. Yeah, now with that done, you can now see it visible in the first story. Let's go. Yes, here it is. Now you can just drag a copy across to where the gable is. So let's see, let me first select the truss. Let's make sure I select the truss only. Yeah, that's selected. You can Control D it first so that it can be at the edge here, and then you Control Shift D, Control U first. Control U to spread it the way you want, in the spacing you want for your roof for this truss. So let's just make it spacing of a bit, like 50. So not 50, actually it's supposed to be 500. Let me Control U. Let's escape first and then Control U. Then make it 500, which is 50 centimeters. So I'm going to drag copies across where everything is going to be. Actually, it's going to end here before we encounter the other gable, so it's going to be there. Yeah, something like that. So this is going to what's going to be holding our roof. You see in the 3D section, there are going to be more of them. Yeah, just more of them like this. So you do the same for the other gable. And with that said, on that thought, we can say that we have finished building our building, and now we can just extract information from it. Yeah, so the information we want to have first is going to be our views, which are the elevations. So the ground floor, we can now see our elevations and see how they look like. So I'm just going to drag my elevations, the normal ones that are there. Control Z, drag the whole thing, and just make it to cover the only the point where the building is. So you have to edit it to only cover the scope of your building and the site. So yes, so do the same for this one. Let me just take the attributes from this one, and then I'm going to do this for that. No, it does not want to do the same, so let me just drag it there, the whole thing actually. Yeah, then minimize it to only fit the scale of our site. So you see here, click the node, then the last option, and then minimize it up to the site edges. Yeah, then I'm going to do the same for this one and drag it back to somewhere here, and then minimize it up to the site edges. Yes, so do the same with this one too. Just take this one and then drag it take the whole thing and drag it to where you want it to be, somewhere here, and then minimize it to where you want it. Yeah, so with that said, now we can just open our elevations and generate them and see what's coming up for our building. Yeah, so this is the first elevation that we have. You can see it's just a basic elevation. You can see, we can just move around for the elevations tab here and see what we are supposed to have here. This is the north elevation, east elevation too. You can click here, just click it. You can see the east and then the west. As you can see from these elevations alone, we don't see the actual finish. We cannot see the stone and those type of finish, because those are things we're going to fix now in our elevation settings. So let's just look at the south elevation first. Yeah, this is the front facing elevation, and then we're just going to right click and then go to the elevation settings. If you want them to be, this is where you can see, and you can rename your elevation if you want. You can see, you can play around with the horizontal range and the vertical range to see if it can be limited or it can be infinite. If you want it to be limited, you can select it only to view some part of your project, like maybe up to a certain level. Yeah, so that said, just look at the model appearance. This is what we see for the elevation, and it will consist of the finishes and how it's going to look like, maybe if it's black and white or it's colored. So if it's, first of all, let's just make it black and white before we make it colored. So to make it black and white, to go to the cut fill, then we make sure it is at cut fill and shaded. Cut fill and shaded, yeah, with no color. So, and then these uncut elements, make sure they don't have a color texture. So so surface color fill and shaded, and then just click this surface cover fill to be clicked so that you can able to see the surface finish. Transparency, if you don't want to see the things that are inside of your house, you just unclick it, and maybe if you want to see your shadows, just open it up there and select the shadow type you want for your building. So with that said, let's just see what it has done and judge from it. Yeah, you can see what I've done with the elevation. Now it has shown the finish of the walls and how the building actually looks like. So this is the type of elevation we want now. And yeah, so to make it black and white, we'll just go and click on the right click again, elevation settings, and then we just make sure here for the uncut fill it is the first option, which is the uniform color fill, and then we just press OK. This is if you want it to be in black and white. Yeah, so this is mostly for the construction drawings, but the other one for the presentation drawings, just make sure it is in in colored. So just make sure and press OK. Yeah, so with that done, you can actually do the same for the rest. Yes, yeah, you can just select the whole thing. You can see what I've done here. I've just minimized the whole elevation, select and right click it and go to elevation settings and make the settings the way you want them to be. So for the whole thing now, yeah, so shadow, yes, I want it to be a bit, and then yes, so this is what I want. Cut fill and shade, and it's okay. Yeah, this is what we actually want for everything. So let me press OK, and then if we see we click into any of the elevations, it's already changed the settings and made it the way it is. So let me just make sure transparency is checked out. Yes, actually checked out here. So let me just select all of them. For example, let's see this east. Make sure. Let's go to the elevation settings. The ones that are not changed, actually you can manually just change them. Let's go elevation settings. You can surface color, and then here transparency off. Just the same process that we did before. So not something bad or hard. So just like that, have the real building elevation you want. Here the same thing you can do. Click the surface foreground, remove the transparency, and then open the shadow. Then everything is okay. Yes, so you can now see the real sense of the building. The south one is the one that we did the first thing. Let me just open it again, make sure everything is okay for this one too. Yes, let me see. Yes, everything's okay for the same one too. Yeah, so press OK. Yeah, with the elevations done, now we have finished with the elevations. And the same thing, you can actually do it with your sections. You can just go to, if you see it's like this, maybe you can just right click section settings, and then you can just manipulate it the way you have done for your elevations. If you want it to be black and white, if you want shadows, those are the things you can manipulate in the model appearance. So with everything done, I'll show you the furniture, sections, elevations generated. What's remaining for our building is putting it on paper and then publishing it and sending it to our client. So with everything done, now we are going to first of all go to here. Now we are at the views stage here. We are going to now the layout book here, sir. So the third option, which is the layout book, and then we'll have the layout sheets where we're going to put our different views of our building. So to first, before we put a layout, a view on a layout, we first have to create our master layout, which are here. These are the master layouts. So you can actually create your own layout by clicking here, down here, new master layout, and creating our own. So let me just click new master layout, and let me write it and call it beam tutorial master layout. Beam tutorial master. So I'm going to create it, and then we're going to have a blank space where we can actually manipulate or use the format that we desire for our master. So let's go and look for a format and draw it. So yeah, so actually you can just take your line tool. Maybe if you want to draw it like the normal ones, the ones that are the landscape ones that are going like this, you can actually do it. But if you want to do the ones that usually have some section here, you can actually just draw it and import everything here and put them on your layout. So stay tuned before we continue. Yeah, so for master layout, we are going to approach it in a manner that will be more flexible for each and every one of us. So so for the master layout, we're going to either have a presentation layout or a working drawings layout. So for me, I'm going to first deal with the working drawings, and then I can later show you how to make a presentation drawing layout for your master. So for the working drawings, first I want to make sure it has the reference of the A1 layout as the as the reference. So first of all, I'll have to first delete this one because I don't want it to be this empty. Let me delete the master first. Yeah, so for the master, we're just going to have to open this one. Yeah, and we have to copy. I'm just going to copy this information here, Control C, and then I'm going to open a new layout, new master layout, and then I'm going to name it Beam Tutorial Master Layout. So with that done, I'm going to create, and then I'm going to paste what I've copied, the exact same location. Yeah, so with that done, now I'll be able to play around with the things that are appearing here, and I'll also be able to add some other independent things here. So to add any other independent information, I'm just going to have to draw the rows that I'm going to use using the line tool. So make sure it's in black, and then I'm going to highlight it and draw the row that I'm going to use. So for example, I want my master to be somewhat like this. Let me just look for where I had a document. Yeah, so I want it to look like this layout here that I had made earlier for my other project. So this is how I want it to look like. I want it to include the notes for the construction drawings, the name of the company here, and then a client full name, the logo of the company, the note, and this is some part of the other information that we're going to use. So with that said, we can now go and focus on how we can achieve this. So to first do this, I'm going to first copy this. I'm going to copy these construction notes, which are going to be available for you when you look for them online from other master layouts. So I'm going just to copy this to do with what I have, and then I'm going to paste them on where I want them. So first of all, I'll have to drag my line so that it becomes a little bit in line with what we want here. So with that done, I'm going to copy my notes. So with this one's copied, I'm going to drag them to where I want them here. So for the notes, if you are concerned with what the notes contain, they're just some notes that the contractor should take note of. Like, for example, all dimensions are in meters unless otherwise stated. Only shown dimensions. Let's make sure it's okay. Only shown dimensions shall be used. Do not scale the drawings. So these are just some other notes that are due to be made note of, and things that you want the contractor to know while doing the project. So that's the first step by putting the notes there. And then the next step is going to be putting the client's name and those type of things too. So let me just write the heading. I'm going to use the text tool here, and then you're going to write there notes, caps lock notes, and then make sure you've made them to be, and select it and then make it underlined and bold. So with that done, you just click, then it comes to appearing. So I'm just going to drag the notes upwards a bit somewhere there. So with that said, now we have our notes, and the next thing we're going to do is we are going to have to put the client's full name and the name of the company. So with that said, let's go and put the client's full name. First of all, I'm going to make the row for them. Just going to draw a row here, then use my normal line, then use this one. Then I'm going to separate the row here. Yes, and then I'm going to use my text tool again just to highlight it where I want my text to be, and then I'm going to use the first option here. This is insert auto text, and then I'm going to enter what I want to be appearing on that area. So for example, if I want my client full name to be there, I just select the client full name there, and then I'm going to add it, and then I'm going to place it there. So you can see it writes hashtag client full name. This is because in my project I have not yet updated my project information to include the client full name. This is what I'm going to teach you in the next project, where we're going to mostly deal with information for our project. So for now, just know that you can put the client full name and it will automatically show itself when you already incorporated the information in your file. So with that said, you can add the next thing, which is going to be the company's full name. I'm just going to practically show you some few cases and you can see how it's going to go. So the next thing is going to be, maybe let's look for it, the contacts details. No, contacts, let's look, make sure. Yeah, so the contact company, let's just select it and then add it to our sheet. So with that done, now we can have our contact company and our company full name, so our client's full name. So that we can make another row for that. So with that done, now we can continue, and then the next step is going to be putting our logo for our company maybe. So for me, this is the logo I usually use for my company, that is, and I'm going to copy it, Control C, and I'm going to paste it on my ARCHICAD. So Control V, this is what I want for my, let me just make sure, Control V, it's not appearing, let me just go and copy it well and make sure everything is highlighted. So let me just do it again. Yeah, so I had copied it and it had appeared this small, and I'm going to just drag it there and make it visible for all of us. So I'm going to make the text to be a bit bigger, maybe 14, so it can be visible to all of us. So then I'm going to place it there again. I'm going to first have to select it, the whole of it, make it black, and then I'm going to drop it back and then make the font to be bigger. For example, let me say 20. Let me just write the right one, 20, and let's see how big it's going to be. So I'm going to drag it back to where I want it there, and then make it the right size now, more conspicuous size. So with that said, yeah, so that's where the logo for the company is going to be. For this company is called ARCHICAD Enterprise. So that's the company we have. So that's our logo. Yeah, and you can make your own logo and import it into ARCHICAD and use it. So with that said, I can arrange these other things to be in line with the information above. So I'm just going to select everything there and then drag it to center somewhere there. This is where the revision history and some of the things that I'm going to key in into my project information. Let me show you. You can see where it's supposed to be. Let me look for it well, and then you can see where it's supposed to be. So these are the things we're going to be putting into our project information, and when you've already put them inside, you can just actually automatically see them in your master layout. That is before you have published your layout. So yeah, so the project information is usually somewhere here is in the info and then project information. So this is where you're going to key in the details that are going to automatically appear on the points that you want. For example, let me just do one that you can, so that you can actually see what happens. So I'm going to write the contact company, and I'm going to name it ARCHICAD Enterprise, and then I'm going to press OK. With that done, you can see now the contact company now automatically fills itself after I fill the information in the project information. So for example, let me just do the client name again, and so that you can have the right view of what I'm saying. So let's go to our building, our project info, and then write the client full name. So I'm just going to write the prefix to be Mr., and then I'm going to write the given name to be Jerome, and then the middle name to be Deutsch maybe, and then family name to be Okech. And let me say the middle name to be Okech, and then the family name to be Oloch. So that said, now we can press OK, and you can see the client full name at Babs said. With that, then you can press OK, and you can see it is going to automatically update itself in the master layout. Yeah, so that's what this option for the layout is. So I'm going to show you more in the other sectors down here. So I'm just going to drag these informations and make it central. Drag it centrally. No, just the information only. Yeah, that's what I want. So I'm going to drag everything centrally. Then Control D and drag everything somewhere there. So with that done, now I'm going to drag this one down, up. Yeah, so with that done, now we can put our note for our project. I'm just going to draw another compartment or row for this. And then for the notes, it will depend on your site. So for example, if my site, the note is somehow like this, I can just manually draw my arrow and show hypothetically that the note of this site or this project is this way. So to make sure my arrow is making sense, I can use the fill tool, and then I can draw the field what I want. So maybe if it's this black, I'm going to draw my fill of how the arrow is supposed to look like. So with that said, now I'm going to use my text tool, and then I'm going to highlight somewhere there and put the letter N. Let me make it a bit conspicuous, maybe red, then put it N, and then I'm going to make it the font bigger. For example, I'm going to make it like 10 millimeters, and then you can drop it there. Now we have a show of where the note of our project is, because most of the time you can see most of the time you'll be doing a project, you'll actually forget to put your note if you don't have a compartment for it, and it's a very important detail for your project. So that said, that is how you can now have our notes. We have our client name and the company name, the company logo, the note, and then these other details that we are supposed to key in our project information. So yeah, and this for the scale is going to automatically show itself when I put in information onto my layout, and the layout ID and division ID are some things that you're going to have. So these other things are going to automatically show themselves, and you have to key them in the project information here. You'll have to key every single info that is needed for our project to be done. So with that said, let me just make this whole thing to be black and want it to be that color, and then I want to make these ones too. to be black. So with that said, now we have our master layout, something like this. And then I'm gonna make the notes black too, and a bit larger, for example 5 millimeters for the heading. So yeah, so with that said, now we have our master layout for our working drawings. Remember that we're going to look more into it into the project information in my next course, and it's going to be actually a very interesting course because it's going to involve a lot of information pooling and something that makes your project become realistic, and it comes from the hypothetical stage of designing up to the it becomes realistic, where now you have the right information so that every single thread can pull out information from your project and and start building your building. So with that said, now we have our master layout. So the master layout, now if you want to make a new layout for your sheets, just come here, down here, and then you click new layout on this, the first option. Let's click the new layout, and then on the layout name, maybe I want it to be, let's say, floor plans, and then the master is going to be beam tutorial master. You're the one that I created, so I'm going to create the new layout. You can see this is what's going to happen. And I'm going to have a red themed layout. This just shows that you cannot edit anything on the layout. You just edit the master, and make sure you don't put your sheets on the master, because that's not how you do things. Just the master is just a reference sheet, and if you want to change anything on the layout, you go to the master. Just if you want to put information on layouts, you go to the layouts, and if you want to change information on the master, it's just the master. So with that said, you can actually now, for example, I'm just going to put one of these plans here. You just take the plan, drag it, and drop it there. So it's going to actually show itself, and I'm going to have to minimize it to only show my floor plan. So I'm going to drag it up to remove this sector. I'm going to drag it only to show my floor plan on side. So that said, I can minimize it to fit my scale, and then I'm going to drag it to the center, maybe, or somewhere here, because we want to use it for different sheets. So with that done, you can actually increase the scale, because this one is so small and it's not going to be visible. Let's make it 120, and you can see it's become big. It becomes bigger, maybe 150. Yeah. So now you have our layout on the sheet. So if you want to remove the site, you can actually remove it manually in your ground floor, or hide it so that you can be able to drag it and only have the walls and other things. So that done, we can actually drag another story, for example story 1 somewhere there, and then let me just go and minimize this to become the story only, and make sure everything that is visible on your sheets are things that can be seen. So drag this outside, then I'm going to make it bigger for visibility issues. So with that said, now I'm going to show you how you can actually update things while they are still on the sheet. So for example, you can see I don't want my trusses to be visible on my sheet. I want them to be visible maybe on the section. So I'm just going to go back to the views, go to story 1, and then with that I'm just going to select this truss here, then select all of them, maybe share, and I'm going to make the layout to be hidden. So I'm just going to make the layout to be hidden here. Just go to this place here and then make them hidden. So with that done, now you can see they're not visible, and when we go back to our sheets, you can see it's going to update itself, and it's going to be only the the whole plan that is visible, not the trusses. So that's how you put your layouts on sheets, and that's how you build your master layout. So with that said, you can just add another layout and put the elevation. So layout, choose the master, BIM tutorial master, then write the title of the layout to be elevations. So that said, you can now create a layout, and then you go to our view and then look for the elevations. Let's look for it, yeah, and then you drop them onto your sheet. So for example, it's going to drop that one. Let's drop all of them. Maybe you can actually, let's just drop them manually, all of them. Let me remove this one. Then I want to drop them manually, the whole thing. So I'm going to drop them here, the whole elevations folder. So let it drop. Yeah, with everything dropped now, we can actually arrange them on our sheets the way we want them. So for example, these ones, I want them to be somehow down here. This one, let's say, let me just drag it somewhere here, and I'm going to increase the size of the visibility. So I'm going to drag them there, and then I'm going to drag this one somewhere here, and then I'm just going to increase the scale so that they can be more visible, not this small, and increase them to 1 to 50 or 1 to 50 maybe. 150 looks a bit better, so then I'm going to place them there. Yeah, and then this one too, I'm going to increase it to 1 to 50. 1 to 50, yeah, that done there. And this same one, 1 to 50, and then this one 1 to 52. Yeah, so that's stated. Now you can able to have a grasp of what you can do when you're putting your sheets on layouts and having your building being built. So with that said, now I'm going to teach you how you can now extract this layout from ARCHICAD onto your computer, and then now you have it in the form of PDF. To do that, just go to the last option here, which is the publisher sets, and then I'm going to select the layout sets here only, not there are two options. There's a views and then there's a layout. So I'm going to select the layouts for my layout only, and then I'm going to select the type of the layouts I'm going to publish. For example, I'm going to publish these floor plans and elevations. You shift, and then on this publish here key, I'm going to make sure it's only the selected items that is keyed, and then I'm going to publish them. First, it's going to ask me where I want my PDF to go to, and I'm going to choose somewhere in my laptop, maybe in this PC. I'm going to look at the documents maybe, and then there, then I'm going to press OK, then I'm going to press OK again, then I'm going to now select them properly and publish them. So with that published, you can see it's going to publish them, and it's going to send them to my computer. So with that done, let me just close and go to where I have placed them. So let's go back to my documents area. Yeah, so make sure it's in documents, and then open it up and open the PDF now. So you can see this is how things come out. Let them first come out well. Yeah, so this is how things are going to come out a bit more. Let's give it time for it to load, come more clear. So it's going to come out somehow like this, but you can actually print it out, and it's going to be more clear than this. So this is what I mean, and hope you guys have followed of what I've done from the making of the master layout and publishing my layouts. And yeah, that's how the course is going. So for more information, you're going to go to the next course, and we're going to look at how we can now make this information buildable. Now we're going to see how we can extract some point of this building and send it maybe to the person who's making the windows, and maybe to the person who's going to do the walls. Yeah, that's what we're going to do in the next course. But part 2 of this course is going to consist of creativity of yourself. You're just going to look at different tools and different options for ARCHICAD. Here we're just going to look at morph tool, complex profiles here. Yeah, then we're going to look at different things that we're going to be using to just for the creativity of ourselves. So the shell tool, the morph tool, the complex profiles, and we're going to look more into the curtain wall and those types of things. So stay tuned, and we're going to the next part of our course. Yeah, so hope you're going to learn more.